As well, we see the Earth B Batman operating as a master detective, just like his Earth 1 counterpart. But again, this Batman appears to be the older, much wiser partner who doesn't even need to start his detective work to know that Ted Grant is being played for a fool by a completely corrupt business. Okay, moving on to Brave and the Bold, issue number 118, cover date April 1975, by same team, Haney and Aparo, as titled May the Best Man Die. The Joker is concerned that one of his lackeys, Dubek, is about to crack while being held in solitary confinement. And so the Joker comes up with a pretty elaborate plan to erase Dubek, so to speak, so that he doesn't. Sorry, folks, got interrupted again. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the Joker comes up with a pretty elaborate plan to have Dubek wiped out and to keep him from spilling any secrets about the Joker. We see Ted Grant training in a gym, and he's actually going to enter a boxing match against Dubek at the prison. This is something to help keep the inmates' morale up. And an older fellow named Whitey asks Ted if he can work as his second in the ring, to which Ted says sure. So during the boxing match, Whitey appears to mix up Ted's and Dubek's water buckets, and Dubek is about to defeat Ted when all of a sudden he takes some water from the bucket. Whitey says a few words of encouragement, and Ted finds the wherewithal to knock Dubek down. And a short time later, Batman and Commissioner Gordon learned that Dubek has contracted this rare tropical disease, and he's actually spread the disease by eating in the dining room as the other inmates, and so now all 601 inmates are dying of this tropical disease. It turns out that the water in Dubek's bucket was tainted, and piecing it together, this was all put together by the Joker. Batman and Wildcat go out to retrieve a dog who's a lab animal, and he carries the antibodies that will cure the inmates of this tropical disease. Unfortunately, the Joker is first to capture the dog, and he makes Batman and Wildcat come to the prison where they have to wear these barbed wire type boxing gloves that ancient Roman warriors wore. And Joker says to Batman and Wildcat, okay, you have to make this fight real. You have to pummel each other, otherwise I'm going to kill the dog. And so Batman and Wildcat do a number on each other, and the Joker reveals to them that the gloves were tainted with the virus, and so now they are going to die too. But then Batman pulls a bluff when he sees that the dog bites Joker on the hand. And Batman says to the Joker, Joker, the dog was actually infected with the virus. He doesn't carry the antibodies, so now you're sick too. And the only way for you to get cured is to get the dog, who's since run off, so that we can get him to a hospital and make antibodies from his blood. And so in the end, the Joker actually has to work with Batman and Wildcat in retrieving the dog. The bluff worked, of course. All the inmates, along with Batman and Wildcat, are saved. It appears though that Dubek doesn't. Looks like they weren't able to get him the antibodies in time. So a bit of a dark ending there. But I really like this story. This was maybe my favorite of the five. This is the one story that can be pretty easily integrated into the pre-crisis Earth 1 continuity and in post-crisis continuity, as both Batman and Wildcat are on the same level. In this story, it feels like the Earth B Wildcat has matured and grown into someone who is a close approximation of the Earth 2 Wildcat. The Joker of Earth B acts entirely like the Earth 1 Joker of the Bronze Age in terms of his speech mannerisms and the way he plans his crimes and acts of attrition, plus the fact that he's drawn by Jim Aparo. But what makes this an Earth B story is that Batman refers to Ted being Wildcat in Commissioner Gordon's presence. On Earth 1, I don't think that Batman would reveal Ted's alter ego to Gordon or anyone else, even if Ted Grant hailed from another Earth, as this could lead to the Earth 1 Ted Grant's privacy being compromised. For that matter, when did the Earth B Ted Grant decide to let his Wildcat identity become public knowledge? Here we have another story where Batman is going out in the daylight, which really conflicts with Dan O'Neill's portrayal of Batman as a creature of the night. Alright, look at the last story, Brave and the Bold, issue 127 from June 1976. Again, great team of Haney and Aparo, titled Dead Man's Quadrangle. And Batman comes across an illegal human smuggling ring in which the ringleader, who goes by the name El Zapatero, is recruiting young people who want to enter the United States, and he offers them a free trip and a chance at a better life in the States. Only once they enter the country illegally, they are forced into a life of crime and debauchery, which ultimately ends very poorly for them. Batman learns that Zapatero's operation is being run out of a spa resort for wealthy retirees on an island located in Dead Man's Quadrangle, and the whole island is owned by Batman's old friend, Ted Grant. And Ted is shocked to learn that there's this human smuggling ring which is running off of his island, but he's apprehensive about going into action as Wildcat, as he says that in his second comeback to the ring, he accidentally killed his opponent, and so he's sworn that he will never use his fists again. But when he sees that there are lives that are on the line, including Batman's, Ted Grant has to step up and overcome his guilt over accidentally killing a person in the squared circle. Now, as to what makes this an Earth B story, to me it's a shame that this is the last of the Batman-Wildcat team-ups, and that Wildcat seems to take a step back, and he's portrayed as the unwitting dupe yet again. And so, yet again, Batman comes off as the older, wiser, street-smart partner, with Ted being the naive one who is hesitant to suit up and become Wildcat. On top of that, I can't think of any stories in which the Wildcat of Earth 2 accidentally killed an opponent in the ring. In any event, my impression of the Earth 2 Wildcat is that with his experience in the 1940s, he would feel tremendously guilty, but he would still tell himself to bury his guilt and take down these smugglers in much less time than it takes for this Wildcat to overcome his demons. So there you go, folks. There's a look at 5 classic Brave and the Bold stories featuring Batman and Wildcat. Comic Book DB mentions one other issue in which the Wildcat of Earth B, or as Comic Book DB calls him, the Earthcat the Wildcat of Earth 1.5 shows up. Just go on pause and look up that book. Yeah, here it is. It's Super Team Family, Volume 1, Issue Number 2. It's a team-up between the Creeper and Wildcat titled Showdown in San Lorenzo. I have not read it. I was tempted to before coming on the mic here, but then I thought, no, this episode is all about the Batman and Wildcat team-ups, but something fun for those of you who want to do this at home, and I'm sure I'll try this too, is to read this story from Super Team Family number 2 and see how it connects, if at all, with these 5 great Haney stories that I've told you about here on the show. Again, folks, I highly encourage you to give these 5 stories a read. I know I spoiled the heck out of the first story, and so I was making a conscious effort to really shorten my synopses as I went along with the other 4 stories. But they're just great, and especially with the last 3, man, the Jim Aparo artwork is just so great. So once again, Jason, thank you so much for inspiring this as well as episode number 125. Okay, folks, on tap for episode number 127. I'm going to be looking at a Kickstarter initiative which I backed a year ago, and I got my rewards a short time ago. It's from Coalition Comics. It's called The Power Company. Really interesting read. Looking forward to telling you all about what this superhero team is all about, as well as a really neat swag that I got as part of my pledge. So that'll come your way in a couple of weeks' time. If you want to get in touch with me, you can contact me at comicsandhistory@gmail.com, or you can head on over to Facebook, like the Comics and History Facebook page, so that you get regular updates about upcoming episodes for this show. Until another 14 days have come and gone, this class is dismissed.